Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing a video on paying power with coins that you've mined or paying power out of pocket. So this is obviously a way of managing power costs when you're cryptocurrency mining. This is with GPU mining, not necessarily ASIC mining. I believe the figures would be slightly higher with ASIC mining just because you're paying way more power. So it doesn't make sense to necessarily spec mine or pay out of pocket for ASIC mining. But when you're GPU mining and you're working on very small margins, you can have the option to pay the power out of pocket or pay it with the coins that you've mined. So just a quick overview here. This is what we mined 1 year ago on 3 3060 Ti's. So these are the coins that I've got figures for. I did have to sift through a lot of data in terms of mining pools, wallet addresses, just to see how much I was making per day. I believe that some of these were also solo mining, so I'll tell you which ones in a little bit. However, we have the rewards per day. So this is how many coins we got per day on that day. And then we have the value of these coins mined per day. So it is the rewards times the price of the coin around a year ago. So these are rough estimates, around 5%, either plus or minus. So it's not entirely accurate, but I've tried to make it as accurate as possible. And then we have the power that we used for that day. So I just based this on rough figures again, of how much power we would be using on different algorithms to mine different coins. And then we have the cost of power. So it's the watts per day divided by 1,000 to give us kilowatts per hour times by the cost of power at 10 cents per kilowatt. So just to recap, rewards per day, the value of the rewards, the power cost, the power in watts of the day, and then the cost of power. So these are the coins that we mined as well: Lithium, Claw, Dynex, Flux at the time, surprisingly, Kaspa, Neoxer, Nexer, and Radiant. So let's move on to the first scenario, which is paying power with coins. So as you can see here, a lot of them don't actually have any coins left over. So we take the value of the coins and then the cost of power, and then we minus the two from each other, and that should give us our profitability either plus or minus. So as you can see here, we are in the minus 0.04, in the minus 17 cents, we're in the plus 54 cents, in the minus 54, 7, 45, in the plus 5 cents, and in the minus 7. So I did say that I was solo mining. From the looks of it and what I can tell through mining pools, I think that these three were solo mining. So this 0.04, 0.07, and 0.07. This would have been Radiant, Casper, and Lithium. So those are the three that I think I was solo mining at the time. So the luck would have been probably a big factor within this because of the difficulty changes that happen all the time. So that's why you're seeing probably minus for these. But when I was crypto mining, I would never pay the power with the coins that I mined. I would always pay out of pocket for the power. And you can kind of see down the line later on in the video how that works out for us. But there are some profits to be had. For example, Dynex. This would leave us with 2.87 Dynex left over. And then surprisingly Nexer, which would leave us with 3,758 Nexer left over. So a profitability of 5 cents and 54 cents on that day. Now this figure here is what we would make in a day at current prices. So this is how much we would have left over from our original 6.153. We would have 2.875 left over, times that by the price of Dynex right now, which we actually have across by here, so 0.5627, times by this gives us how much we would make in a day, realized gains later on a year down the line. And then the same goes for Nexer, I believe. So it's 2 cents on Nexer and $1.62 per day, realized gains a year down the line. So as I said, solo mining, we can't really calculate the solo mining power cost just because it is also to do with luck. So these figures might be skewed a little bit. Remember, this is on 3 3060 Ti's. That was the rig that we were using. So looking at paying power with coins, it doesn't really look too good. But I can say that these three that we said we were solo mining would probably be in the positive if we could get the correct figures for them. However, we don't have them right now. And then the only ones that we have in the minus would be Neoxer, Flux, and Claw at the time. So that's what we have for paying power with the coins that we mined. So most of these would be in the negative. We are probably paying the power for the solo mining with the coins mined. However, we can't really reflect that in the calculations there. Now, let's move on to the second scenario, which is paying power out of pocket. So money that we got from a different source of revenue to pay for the mining that we did. So right here, we have the current price of the coin. So this is the current price as of today. When I upload this video, it might be around 24 hours later. So the current price will still be changing, obviously. However, I don't think it'll change that much. And then we take this current price and times it by the value of the coins mined back here. So the rewards per day, so 3.277 times by the value today, and that will give us $6.58. Then we minus the cost of power that we used, so that's obviously how much we spent per day. If we total this all up, it would have been around out of pocket 6.38 per day, which in around a month would be probably like $180, something like that. And then right here we have the value minus the cost of power. So this is our profitability per day in unrealized gains. Just because we haven't sold them yet, it's unrealized, but this is what we're currently looking at per day. So obviously the best one right here is $48.76, which surprisingly is Claw AI. So that's probably the best one that we mined a year ago. I believe Claw AI is up a little bit, so that's probably why. And at the top we have Alephium, which is $6.22. And then we have Dynex. This one is Flux, so we're in the minus on Flux. Then we have Kaspa coin, which is $2.10, unrealized gains per day, remember that is. And then we have Neoxa at 23 cents, and then we have Nexa and Radiant. These are both in the minus. Remember that Alephium, so it's this one, Kaspa coin and Radiant, all have FPGAs or ASICs on the network now, so you can kind of see how the profitability isn't really as good back then as it was now. So with Kaspa coin, you would expect it to be a little bit more. However, FPGAs were entering the network around a year ago, and ASICs were coming online relatively soon after that. So that's why you don't see as much gains in Kaspa from a year ago. But Claw AI has done very well in those terms. So these figures, as I said, plus or minus 5%, that's how rough they are. And then we've got a calculation per week, which I'd say plus or minus 10%. And then per month, which would probably be plus or minus 20% on all these figures. So overall, if we calculated it all out, so paying out of pocket, we have a profitability of $59.12. So it's summed there, so it takes the minuses and the pluses. That is per day of unrealized profits right now. Then per week that we mined, we have $413. And then per month, we have unrealized $1,738. So pretty good in terms of profitability right there. The only thing that obviously led to the profits is us not selling the coins at the time. So with my mining strategy, that was always what I was doing. I would never sell the coins. I would always just pay it out of pocket. Just because at the time, a lot of them were speculative. If only one of them shot up, then we would obviously have a good chance of making back all the money that we spent. So the power cost would have been $6.38 per day. So all we needed was one of these to gain over $6.38 per day in the future, which obviously we have ones with $48. I don't know how accurate that is. It might have been around $40. But for the most part, all we needed was something that would produce around $7 per day to be in the profits. So mining 8 coins 1 year ago, with the hopes that even if 7 of them failed, one of them would pop off very well in terms of... So in theory, we'd have to pay this out with the possibility of losing it all. But at least if one coin popped up with around a profitability of $7, so for example, Alephium, if this was at $7, then we would in theory be profitable throughout those whole time mining, even if none of the other coins came up as positives. But surprisingly, a lot of them have. Now, as I said, in the negative on Flux, Nexa, and Radiant, they haven't really done too well, so I can kind of see why they're in the negative. But as I said, the standout one being Claw AI, we have Kaspa coin here, which brought us in $61, and then obviously Alephium, which brought us in $183. So pretty good in terms of profitability that we've made from a year ago. And remember, this was paying out of pocket. So compared to paying power costs with coins mined, as I said, this is on GPUs, so we're more spec mining on GPUs a year ago, which meant that we're going to probably fork out the power cost from our pocket anyway. But it goes to show that even if one of them pops up and you had a good amount of those coins stacked, then in theory you would have made unrealized profits a year down the line. Now I do want to mention that GPU mining did have a little bit of a bull run, so that's probably why we're seeing these figures slightly higher than what it would usually be. If I took it back 6 months instead of a year, it'd probably be slightly lower as well. So in terms of how much we x'd our money on these, so it's 10x on Alephium, around 50x on Claw AI, 2.2x on Dynex, 5x on kaspa, and 0.33x on Neoxa. So we do have a worst case and best case scenario. So this is selling at all-time highs and then selling at all-time lows. So how much we would have lost or gained per day. So this is best case and this is worst case right here. So we have the value, this is the all-time high value right here, and this is the all-time low value within the year. So it's not all-time low against the whole price of the coin, it's only the all-time low of the year that we mined. So as we can see here, we did the values again, so we times this number by how much we mined for that day, and then took away the power cost, which would give us, at the best case scenario, $134 per day. Now just to give you some comparison, for the scenario right now, we're only making around $59 per day in unrealized profits. However, if we realized them at each all-time high of the coin, we would have made around $134 per day on the coins that we mined. And then when we come down to the worst case scenario, we can see here the all-time low figures for the coins times by how much we mined, so that would give us the value of the coin, and then minus the power cost. So that puts us all in negative for a lot of these, gives you a negative of $2.47, but we also have to minus the power cost because we paid that out of pocket. So $6.38 and $2.47, let's just go with around $10 per day that we lost in profitability. Somehow Dynex, even at an all-time low of the year, surprisingly actually gave us some profitability. So in theory, Dynex should have been the best coin, but Claw AI, however, is looking to be the best coin right now that we've made profits on. So when we look at it, our worst case scenario would have been around minus $10 per day. However, our best case scenario would have been around $134 in the plus. So in theory, if you're losing $10 a day over gaining $134 a day, it's probably better to take the risk of paying your power out of pocket. Now, obviously the markets will change all the time, and this is only your best case scenario. But if we go on today's scenario, you're still making around $60 unrealized profits right now, compared to, being in the negative $10 per day for those times that you are mining at the all-time low case scenario. And to reiterate, obviously the markets will change constantly. These figures are out by around, I want to say my rough estimate is 10 to 15% plus or minus. That still puts you at good profitability if you paid out of pocket, and it doesn't really put you at good profitability if you pay in power with the coins that you mined. So personally for me, I did pay mine out of pocket probably around a year ago, and it has paid off. However, if you have different scenarios in terms of mining, you might not have paid it off right now if you paid it out of pocket. So it is just about what coins you're mining, how to get into them, how to pick projects and stuff like that. If you followed the channel, you would have seen us mining these coins over around a year or 2 years ago, and we've probably made slightly more unrealized profits in that time as well. So just to give my opinion, I think that paying out of pocket is way better than paying with coins. Even if all the coins fail but one, you can still make some big profits, like for example Claw AI. Even if all of these failed, we'd still make $48.76 per day in unrealized profits. So if we sold today, that's how much we would have made in profit for the days that we actually mined back a year ago. And that was the main bet that we were taking, was that we'd mine a bunch of coins and one of them would eventually have to pop off and cover the losses of basically everything else. That only happens just because we chose the right coins to mine. So you always have to be looking to choose the right coin to mine, and there's loads of videos out there on how to choose the right coin, so make sure you check them out on other mining YouTuber channels. So let me know your thoughts about this, if you pay for your power out of pocket or if you pay with sold coins. And let me know how much you've made in unrealized profits right now. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.